I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time.
Hello, welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James. I get the extraordinary honor of introducing you to fabulous women. You know, ordinary women doing extraordinary things. And what I mean by that is that they've, at some point, decided to take a leap into their destiny, into their calling, into something that pulls them into a different frame of reference on how they want to operate on the planet. And so I'm excited to introduce them to you because I feel like this is the time for women emerging on the planet. Our energy, our nurturing, our kindness, our brilliance is desperately needed. We do these every week. Just subscribe. We're on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon, YouTube video. Subscribe, share the videos, come back every week. I guarantee you will be inspired because I walk out of every one of these interviews so thrilled to have met someone new or rekindled a friendship or learned something that I had no idea existed. So my guest today has been a friend and a colleague for a while, and I have many Cheryl stories, but the thing is that she always stands in such a place of calm and clarity that it's undeniable. So she's on a mission. Cheryl Esposito. She is on a mission to elevate humanity through leadership. She's the founder and CEO of Alexa Consulting. She's a CEO executive coaching. It is actually a CEO coaching and advisory firm. I've been hearing about her for a very long time and all the people that she supports. Over the years, you know, she has experienced the power of simple conversation. If you want transformation, you need to change the conversation with yourself and with others. She has seen this completely change the direction of a person's life where none was thought possible, and then influence organizational success. She's the author of In the Spirit of Leadership, a Vision into a Different Future, which takes readers into a leadership journey through poems and questions and stories of insight and vulnerability. She's also host of Leading Conversations radio show, where she talks to leaders and engages them in conversations to create newfound sense of possibility in the world. Cheryl, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited.
Thank you, Cynthia, for that lovely introduction. Wow. I love being with you. I'm so honored that you asked.
Well, I want to start with how you grew up. You know, I mean, it's important, I think, for the women to know that we all grow up differently and we come in one way and something can take us this way. But how did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Northern California, and I'm the oldest of three kids. My father's background is Italian, my mom's background is Irish. And so, I have a little bit of that, attitude that tends to come with Italian and Irish. And I had a very lovely childhood. I was very supported, and I went to Catholic school. That had a completely powerful impact on me. Some of it good, some of it not so good. The education was fabulous. The nuns were very strict, and in the fourth grade, I started asking questions about the religious teaching. I started asking questions like, how do we know Jesus said that? And how do we know that it really is the right thing? And sister would look at me and say, well, we know that he said that because Paul wrote it down. I was like, but what if he wrote it down wrong? Now I'm in the fourth grade. I know. And at one point, she came over to me in the classroom, 50 kids, and you had to stand when you were speaking. And I'm standing there. She walked over to me and she put her finger in my face and she said, "Young lady, don't you ever question the Word of God. Don't you ever question what is written in that book. Don't you ever question what I'm teaching you." And I stopped asking questions, literally. In the seventh grade, now I was fourth grade, in the seventh grade, I began to notice that when the teacher would say, "So, does anybody have any questions?" I couldn't think of any questions. And then another student would have a question, and I'm thinking, well, that's a good question. How come I didn't think of that? And this, went on into high school. And so fast forward into a lot of personal therapeutic work. I realized one day, oh, there was a reason why I couldn't think of questions. That was an imprint. That was a deep imprint, right? And so it is not lost on me that my career ended up being about asking questions, because that's really what I do, right?
And
When I
do it
coach,
so
right?
well. You do it so well. I mean, I've been on your radio show. I've listened to your radio show. I've been in person with you. You do it so well. And you do it with such calm assuredness.
Mm.
So I want to know, you got a master's degree in industrial social work. How does that lead to Alexa?
Well, actually, it really makes sense.
Okay.
So when I was doing my undergraduate work, I was in a program called Human Services, and it was really all about learning about the individual and a lot of the dynamics that go on between individuals and in groups, etc. And I knew then that I wanted to know more about that. And so one of the opportunities was to go into mental health. And the master's in social work is one way, but I wasn't sure that I really wanted to do therapy. USC, the University of Southern California, had a dual track program for industrial social work. Now, think industrial psychology, right? Which is about the psychology in the workplace. So their dual track was mental health. Everyone had to, in any of the tracks, everyone had to do the mental health track. So I'm trained as a therapist. The other side of the track was the organization development, group dynamics, and human potential. And I knew I wanted to go directly into the workplace. I wanted to help businesses and people in businesses change, and that's what I did. I went into the financial world, and then I worked for Transamerica, and then I went into healthcare and ran the education department for the University of Washington Medical Center. And, I was all about transforming the organization. And it was such a great jumping off point for me before I started my own business. So that's how it got me into the field I'm in now.
Well, it's quite beautiful, and I just want to say to you ladies that Cheryl has the ability to listen deeply and ask powerful questions, but also, I'm going to call her very insightful, very intuitive. And I'll just share with you, there was a time that there was something being offered, and Cheryl came up to me at this event and said, "You're going to go, right?" And I was like, "Oh no." And I had this list of reasons, and she said, "Okay." And she walked away. And she comes back and she goes, "You're going to go, right?" And I'm like, "No, I told you it's that." She goes, "Oh, okay." And she walks away. Third time she comes back, I'm so annoyed. Why? And she goes, "You're going to go, right?" And I was like, "Cheryl, I already told you." And she said, "Cynthia, this is not the time to pull back your energy." That statement not only had me, running to sign up for this thing, but it also had me thinking, as a leader, you have to be very clear about what you're doing with your energy and what excuses and rationalizations you have for not taking steps. So you, in this moment, you're all like CEO people that you're working with, right? And their organizations.
Yeah.
So how did you get into that?
Well, it was an accident. So, when I worked in the financial field and with companies like Transamerica, I was in the organization development department. And in those days, those departments reported up to the president or the CEO, which I thought all of them did, but they don't now. They rarely do. They typically are an HR component. What was amazing for me was each of us as internal consultants got to work with the lines of business, and each line of business had a president. And then there was the CEO over all of them. And because we were that close, in proximity, we had a lot of influence. And I just did what I do, I asked really good questions, and they would ask me to come in and work with their team, have a meeting, and we'd have the meeting. At the end of the meeting, the president or the CEO, whichever one I was involved with, would say, do you have a minute? Can you stay behind for a minute? I have a question. And okay. Everybody would leave, and I'd sit down, and an hour later, I was still there. This happened all the time. And it would typically start with, so I'm having a problem working with this person on my team. This is what's going on. Or how do I get this person to do what I want them to do? And so basically, I started coaching. I would leave those meetings, that part of the meeting, I would leave so filled with energy. It was palpable. And I liked everything I had done before. I liked working with people. I liked doing trainings. It made me feel great. But this particular component, it was like I was high, unbelievable. And so I began to notice this. And I was like, huh, okay. And so when I went out on my own, started my own company, so this is a good one. You'll like this. So did I immediately go and position myself as a CEO coach? Oh, no, no. No, I am just a consultant who does all kinds of stuff. I do trainings, I do management development, I help with strategy work, I do some coaching. And the reason was I was afraid to niche myself. I was afraid that if I did that, I would miss opportunities. What if they want me to do something else? And then I'm only focusing on this. I will miss opportunity. That was what I thought. Well, a few years of that. It was fine. I was successful, but, not as let's just say this, I didn't have the kind of lifestyle I really wanted to live. And so at one point, I finally decided, everyone who talked to me told me this, you have to carve a niche. When people hear your name, they have to think of you as a CEO executive coach. Otherwise, they don't know why they should refer you for anything. Okay, so I did it. My business took off like crazy. And I was like, okay, well, they were right. It's like, God, I hate being wrong, but they were right. And it has been amazing ever since.
Well, okay, there's a couple things I want to dive into here. The first thing is, it is a reasonable response to question choices that you're making when you also want to have security and also want to be taken care
Yeah,
of, right?
yeah.
And so the moment that was it one person that kind of tipped it over, or was it something in you that said, you got to take this shot?
So this is a funny story. So like I said, I'd been doing all kinds of things, communications and, helping people with strategy work, et cetera. And I decided I wasn't going to do strategy work anymore because they never wanted me They wanted to do what I wanted them to do. So I was sick of it and I wasn't going to do it. There's a reason why I'm telling the story. So a friend of mine who's in the field who knows my work and who I've worked with said to me, I have a client and they have this need for strategy development and to facilitate strategy retreats, and you would be perfect for them. And I'm just like, mm-mm. And so she sent me another email. I didn't answer it. She left a voicemail. I didn't answer it. I was like, I am not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And so finally, I was sitting at my desk one day, the phone rang, I answered it. Oh, oops, it was her. And so we had the conversation. And I, I thought, oh, I just don't know. I just don't know. I just hate it because they never want to they want to take shortcuts, the clients. They want to take shortcuts. They never want to do the work, right? So having a conversation with someone after that, I told her I'd think about it. They said, well, but you're the consultant, right? I said, yes. And they said, well, if they don't want to do what you know works, then they're not the client for you. Oh, that was kind of almost as if, I mean, and this is crazy because I've been in the business for years, almost as if it was the first time I realized I had the choice. I got to pick them, which of course I always had the choice, but it flipped my whole perspective. And so I did that. And when they, oh gosh, when they interviewed me because they were looking for the consultant, they interviewed me and it was a group interview with the CEO and the team. I must have said to them 5 times in the hour I was with them. So this is a way, excuse me, this is the way you have to do this. This is what strategy development is. And if you don't want to do this, don't hire me because I won't help you fail. 5 times.
Right.
So at the end of the hour, they said, "Okay, Cheryl, we know. We know that if we hire you, we have to do what you want us to do."
Yes.
And they said, but aren't you concerned? You just told us everything that we need to do. Aren't you concerned that we'll take that and then go somewhere else and have someone else do it with us? I looked at him and I said, "Well, strategy planning and development is not a secret. This is the right way to do it. If someone is telling you there's a different way to do it, they are lying to you." I mean, I was just that bold, right?
Right.
And so I left and, long story short, they hired me and I worked with them and that organization for many years following that. So, you just have to be open, right?
Yeah. And authentic,
Well,
you
there's that.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
because I really want to talk about, um, you've got this book and you've got this radio show. And so your intention for opening this field, because I want to talk about what's coming next in a few moments, but your intention to open this field and to really have people be conscious in their leadership, you know, um, did you know how to do a radio show? Did you know how to run a business? Did you, so what was the process as you're moving into these spaces?
Well, I guess I have a pattern of ignoring things because with a radio show, I was in Rome at the Women's International Networking Conference I was presenting, and I picked up my messages in between sessions, and there was a message from this radio producer and said, "Cheryl, I've been getting your name, and we're going to start a show on leadership, and we'd really like you to host." And I literally started shaking and put my phone down. I was like, "No, I don't know how to do radio. He's crazy." Kept leaving me voicemails, kept sending, leaving me voicemails. He didn't have my email. So finally I answered and I was like, okay, I'm just going to tell him no in a very nice way. And so I got on the phone with him. I said, "I think you're mistaken. I don't know how to do radio." He goes, "That's okay. We'll teach you." I said, "Well, no, 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 no. I mean, I really don't know how to do radio." "Well, I know, but that's okay. We'll teach you." I said, "Well, but," he said, "Look, this will be a 13-week gig. So, if you don't like it, then you don't have to continue. And we won't start until you're ready. You can say yes to me, but we won't start. We won't put you on the air until you're ready. I'll think about it. Thought about it, came back and said, talk to Angela's Arian, who said to me, oh, honey, don't be scared. And I was like, oh, she says, I will support you and I'll be one of your guests. Oh my gosh. And so for those of you who know who Angela's was, she was an amazing being on the planet. And so she was one of my guests. And here I am. I think it's 12 years, 13 years later. Here I am and still doing the show. Yeah.
And by the way, everybody, still asking fabulous questions that are thought provoking. I mean, it's beautiful. Well, something new is happening. You are branching out into the online world.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So, I guess I don't listen to people very well. For years, people have said to me, you really need to take this work two places. One is further into like emerging leaders, beyond CEOs, right? And the other is you need to take this online. And I'm thinking, what? How do you do that? How do you do the work I do and do it online? Because it meant packaging it in a way
Yes.
that could be delivered differently, right? And so a couple of years ago, started working with some folks who said, well, let's help you do this. And I was kind of like, well, okay, if you guys can figure this out, I'm game. But I did not really have much belief that we were actually going to get there. And so, we got there. And so now we've created the Lead with Spirit series, and it's focused primarily on emerging leaders. We still have the CEO work and the CEO Leadership Lab, but the Lead with Spirit series is really helping those who have aspirations to up their game in their leadership and perhaps get to that level, higher leadership, CEO leadership, leading communities, leading even, the nation in politics. There are many ways for this to go. And it's all about getting to know yourself. It's all about getting out of your own way. It's all about trusting your true nature. And I know you know about that. And it's all about really getting to that place that we've forgotten we have. I really believe that all of us come into this world with our true nature bright and shiny and just ready to take on the world. And little by little, with all of our experiences as we grow, we have situations where we were told no, or be quiet, or don't think that, or don't try that, or that will never work, or you could never do that. That just makes me so sad when I hear that people have been told that. And so my work is to begin to unearth that, right? Just peel it away, unearth it, and bring them immediately into how do you apply this every day? And so it's very pragmatic as well as deep and personal and emotionally shifting.
Well, what I love about this, Cheryl, is, not everybody who's an emerging leader can afford Alexis Consulting to come in and transform everything for them. But to have a place where you can invest and be taught by an expert and have tools that you can use in your own evolutionary leadership, I think is so powerful, and it's so exciting, and that you're doing this, ladies, when I tell you, Cheryl is a master at what she does, so it's not a surprise to me that this is a master class that you want to run to. So I want to know, how do people find you and how do they find your work?
So alexaconsulting.com. It's ALEXSA consulting.com is the website. You can go there. I'm on Facebook and I'm on LinkedIn, and the radio show is leadingconversations.com, and you'll also find information about that on my website. But the Lead with Spirit series, the masterclasses, are the opportunity for people to get a taste of what it could be. And then there's the opportunity to immerse themselves into a 12-week virtual program, and with me as coaching throughout. And I'm excited about this. This is a real breakthrough. This is breakthrough work, from my perspective. And I have seen individuals have huge transformations in a very short period of time. And that is exciting, and it changes their life.
Well, it's beautiful. Well, there's not a doubt in my mind that your mission is in the fulfillment stage by touching all of these people. So, I ask the same last question of every guest. This show is called Women Awakening. What do you think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet at this moment?
One of the things I talk about is the tenure of CEOs. And the tenure of CEOs is about 7 years. But for women CEOs, it's about 4 years. Now, why is that? Because they keep hitting the same challenges that women have hit for a long, long time. The assumption that you cannot work in an area in an organization that is deeply revenue generating, the assumption that your needs might be different. And so there is actually a pre-assumption that is made that, well, she wouldn't want to do that because she wants to spend more time with her family. And so they don't even give people the choice. It's very important right now for women to stand up, be true to themselves, and be an offer. You've got to be an offer. And that doesn't mean shaping yourself into what is asked. That means being clear about who you are and putting it out into the universe and inviting it into yourself and see what happens, because it is waiting for you as long as it knows you're willing.
Wow, I hope you all heard that. It's waiting for you as long as you're willing. Cheryl, thank you so much for being here and bringing your wisdom. And I'm so excited about your new program and what it's going to do for emerging leaders. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia.
All right, ladies, I say the same thing to you in a different way every week. You know, this isn't the time to run. This isn't the time to hide. This isn't the time to pretend like you don't have gifts. You came installed with amazing gifts that nobody else can deliver the way you deliver them. So that emerging leader in you that wants to come forward, that wants to make a difference, this is the opportunity on the planet. There are so many women with so many incredible offerings to help you take the next step to greatness. I say yes, because this is not the time to pull back your energy. Thank you so very much. I love you, and I'll see you next time.